If you are an architect, the chances are you spend most of your day in Autodesk. If you are a civil engineer, it's much the same. One platform dominates and your whole workflow sits inside it. But if you are a landscape architect, one project might involve GIS for site analysis, CAD for production drawings, another tool for 3D modeling, another for rendering, and yet another for planting design. 5 tools, 5 workflows, no single platform built around our profession. That got me wondering, why doesn't landscape architecture have its own Autodesk? The answer turned out to be much more interesting than I expected. I'm Wajid, I'm a landscape architecture student. I explore the technology, AI and ideas shaping the future of landscape architecture, urban design and the built environment. Let's get into it. First, I need to complicate the question because technically it kind of does exist. Vectorworks Landmarks is purpose-built for landscape architects. It has terrain modeling, GIS integration, planting data tools, BIM coordination. On paper, it's exactly what the question is asking for. But here is the thing. Most landscape architecture students I know are using AutoCAD or SketchUp as their default. Vectorworks isn't the first choice the way Revit is in architecture or Civil 3D in engineering. So the real question is not why it doesn't exist. It's why hasn't it become the default? Why hasn't landscape architecture produced its own Autodesk level monopoly? I found 3 structural reasons and understanding them a lot about where this industry is and where it needs to go. The first reason is the interoperability trap called DWG. If you are a landscape architect working on any projects involving civil engineers, architects or a municipality, you will certainly be exchanging files in DWG format. It's the industry standard across the entire built environment, and DWG is owned by Autodesk, which means if you want clean, reliable file exchange with every other consultant on your project, you are almost going to be pulled back into the Autodesk ecosystem. Even if a purpose-built landscape tool is technically better for your specific work, it's a structural lock-in. The landscape architecture software market can build the best tool in the world, but as long as the rest of the AEC industry is working in DWG, there will always be friction in pulling away completely. The second reason is simple economics, and this one surprised me when I looked into the data. The landscape architecture software market is estimated $2 billion as of 2024, growing at around 8% annually. That sounds significant until you compare it to Autodesk total revenue, which was $5 billion in 2023 alone. The entire landscape software market is smaller than Autodesk's annual revenue. That changes the investment calculus completely. For a software company to build a ground-up platform exclusively for landscape architecture and go all in on dominating that space, they are looking at a much smaller total addressable market than architecture, engineering or construction software combined. That's not a reason the tool can't exist. Vectorworks exists, but it is a reason why no one has poured the scale investment into building a true monopoly here. The economics of the market reward a different strategy. The third reason is something you probably feel as a student or practitioner. The landscape architecture workflow is genuinely fragmented across multiple software categories. In architecture, your core workflow lives in 1 or 2 tools. In landscape architecture, you might need CAD for production drawings, GIS for data and site analysis, a separate rendering tool for visualization, and potentially parametric modeling software on top of that. These aren't just different tools, they are different categories built by different companies with different underlying architectures. Interlining them into one platform would be an enormous technical challenge, and the data backs this up. A 2022 survey found that over 70% of the landscape professionals use some form of software, but the keyword is some form. It's not one platform, it's a stack. Vectorworks Landmarks is actually trying to solve this. It has GIS integration, terrain tools, planting data all in one place. But the fragmentation habit is deeply embedded in how firms already work and habits are hard to shift, and the fragmented stack still technically gets the job done. So where does that leave us? The honest answer, we are not missing a tool. We are missing the conditions that would make one tool dominate. The DWG lock-in keeps us tethered to the wider AEC ecosystem. The market size means less venture scale investment and the fragmented workflow, making one platform that does everything extremely hard. But here is what I think is interesting. All three of those conditions are starting to shift. JS is becoming more accessible, AI tools are beginning to automate parts of the workflow, and the industry is having conversation about BIM adoption that didn't exist 5 years ago, which raises a different question, one I'm going to keep investigating. If not now, when? And who is going to build it? If you are a landscape architecture student, educator, or someone building software for this space, I would genuinely love to know, what do you think? Drop it in the comments. Subscribe if this kind of thing interests you. New video in 1 week.